ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं शरवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गन्ति भूरिदा जनाः. Your words are like nectar, bring life to squirt souls. They are praised by poets and remove all sin. They are auspicious to hear, wonderful and exalted. Those who spread these words throughout the world are truly giving souls. Welcome to our class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We're on the chapter Visit to Sinthi Brahmo Samaj, and towards the bottom of page 636. This chapter started on Sunday, October 19th in 1884, and it's also going to include the next day and a visit to the Marwaris of Bazar. So we'll get to that after a bit. We stopped kind of in the middle. I'm going to go up to the question Vijay Krishna Goswami is having a conversation with Sri Ramakrishna, and he asked him, how, sir, can one have the vision of the primal energy and attain Brahma Jnana, the knowledge of the attributeless Brahman? Master, pray to him with a yearning heart and weep. That will purify your heart. You see the reflection of the sun in clear water. In the mirror of his eye consciousness, the devotee sees the form of the primal energy, Brahman with attributes. But the mirror must be wiped clean. One does not see the right reflection if there is any dirt on the mirror. As long as a person must see the sun in the water of his eye consciousness and has no other means of seeing it, as long as he has no means of seeing the real sun except through its reflection, so long is the reflected sun alone 100% real to him. As long as the eye is real, so long is the reflected sun real, 100% real. That reflected sun is nothing but the primal energy. So this is where we finished last time. Yeah. So this, of course, it's a bit of a mixture. It starts out with this devotional idea. The first thing he says is pray to him with a yearning heart. Now, Sri Ramakrishna is going to talk about the path of knowledge, even though most of this was also Jnana Yoga. Yeah, all of these different. So for Sri Ramakrishna, this distinction between the different yogas is not such a clear-cut line. They all work together and reinforce each other. Anyhow, this is where we'll start. But if you seek Brahmajnana, the knowledge of the attributeless Brahman, then proceed to the real sun through its reflection. Okay. Pray to Brahman with attributes. So again, now the prayer comes in. Pray to Brahman with attributes who listens to your prayers, and he himself will give you full knowledge of Brahman. For that which is Brahman with attributes is verily Brahman without attributes. That which is Brahman is verily Shakti. One realizes this non-duality after the attainment of perfect knowledge. So non-duality, generally we think non-duality will be the individual self and the supreme self. Here he's talking about this oneness of Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman. Now this illustration of the sun being reflected in different containers. This is called Pratibimbavada, and it's one of Sri Ramakrishna's favorite illustrations. Now, it's used mostly in Advaita Vedanta. Now, if we ask ourselves, in order for the sun to be reflected in a container of water, the sun has to be separate, the water has to be separate, and the water has to be real. Yeah. This is not the point of the analogy. The point of the analogy is not to talk about what is the nature of this external universe. The main point of that analogy is how something can appear to be divided without undergoing any change itself. This is the main point of it. That Brahman, if we say that how does Brahman manifest itself as all the different individual jivas, this is a way to show that Brahman can, through this what we say reflection, through this process of reflection, just as the sun does not divide itself. It appears to be divided because it can be reflected in different containers, but the sun remains undivided. Nothing happens to the sun. This is the main point of this Pratibimba-vada. This is a doctrine of reflection. Now, if we extend it and want to say, well, what does this say about the nature of the individual and the nature of the container? Because we're talking about the container is a physical body, and the water inside the container is the mind, and the sun. The light of the sun is reflected in the water of the mind, giving the appearance of the sun. And Sri Ramakrishna is saying that this is our access to the sun. If we want to know the real nature of Brahman, we have to do it through that reflection. Yeah. So if I want to know what my face looks like, I can't see my face. I can only see a reflection of my face. So something like that. But the point that I really want to stress is that these analogies are extremely helpful. The most helpful things that we have, the best, easiest ways of understanding these very difficult philosophical concepts, and yet they completely fail. Yeah.
Is it akin to explaining the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma?
Yes, Jivatman and Paramatman. Paramatman will be the sun. That'll be Brahman itself. And the different reflections will be Jivatman that way. Now, let me get back to the statement that we shouldn't fool ourselves into thinking that Brahman is actual something that has rays that will come out the way the sun has rays that will extend, that the mind is not water. Yeah, that these are analogies that will have a certain element to it that will be very, very helpful for us. But the danger is that we think that we've understood everything because we've understood the analogy. Now, it's very easy for us to understand how the sun can be reflected in a million containers without undergoing the least dissipation. It's not like other senses, if the sense of taste. Every time you bite into something, it becomes less. Yeah, it's a limited number of people can partake of taste. But with sight, there's no diminishing of the object that we see. So it doesn't matter how many containers there are, that the sun will remain full, the sun. And what's reflected in each container will be 100% full sun. 10 containers, you don't see a tenth of the sun in each one. So this is the analogy there. But if we understand that it makes perfect sense when we're talking about the sun and water and reflections and how the object that's reflected in the water undergoes no change and everything. We shouldn't fool ourselves into thinking that now we understand how Brahman appears to be many without undergoing any change. That's Maya. That we can just get a glimpse of the truth of that. But the second point that Ramakrishna is making here is if we want to understand the nature of Brahman, this Brahman, if we say Brahman is the sun, right? So why not look straight up at the sun? He says no. that this is first of all, that transcendent aspect of Brahman is beyond mind and speech. It's beyond the senses. It can't be seen. It's always unknown and unknowable. Only because it's reflected within, or if we don't like reflected within, present within. These are not conflicting philosophical doctrines, although they're presented that way. These are all different analogies to help us try to understand something enough so that we can do our spiritual practice and have some direct realization. That's all.
In one
That's
context, Swami Sarvapriyananda says, uses the word falsity.
Yeah. So anyhow,
Not
so
exactly accurate.
yeah,
So that's a little.
yeah. So this is the nature of an analogy. Yeah, Thakur himself talks about that. That someone is like a tiger. Don't think that he has a face that resembles the face of a tiger. Only that one aspect is there. So this is very, very helpful. And then so many other things are here that Thakur is talking about. The role of Shakti, here. Now, when Thakur talks about that Brahman has become all this, he'll use that expression. The Advaitins don't like that expression because it gives the impression that Brahman is undergoing some change. It doesn't mean that. This Saguna aspect of Brahman, which includes Shakti, that the Shakti can manifest as this visible universe. This is it's called Shakti Parinamavada, another doctrine that people have, that Brahman itself won't undergo any type of change, but Brahman has this Shakti. So it's this Ishvara aspect, Saguna aspect of Brahman that is responsible for this projecting this universe, however we understand it. Now, another point I wanted to make tonight, that we'll get conflicting views about these things. Thakur later, if we get to it, he'll have a discussion with this pundit, the son of this pundit, and he's asking about Sankhya philosophy. Now, this Sankhya philosophy and Vedanta. If we simply, I don't want to say Advaita Vedanta or anything. I want to say Vedanta as taught in the Upanishads. Yeah, as taught in the Upanishads. The Upanishads don't mind accepting almost everything about the Sankhya philosophy. Only distinction will be that Sankhya will take everything back to maybe something like cosmic mind, but all belonging to nature, whereas the Upanishads will say even that will come from the Brahman itself. Right. Now, for the philosophers, there's a huge distinction, and they'll argue tooth and nail. If we seriously ask ourselves, how much of a difference does it make in our lives, whether we accept one or the other? Yeah, I sometimes wonder about these things, that so many questions. See, this Sankhya in some way is closer to our quantum physics, modern day theories of, take everything back to energy. Now, for Sri Ramakrishna, if you're taking everything back to energy, this is as good, because the Shakti energy can't exist without Brahman. So for him, that's fine. He doesn't mind that. But they don't want to take it that far. They'll just take it that, and this Purusha will be separate. The conscious element will be separate. They'll be parallel, and there'll be some dependence, but they won't be abhinna, the way Sri Ramakrishna talks about it. Now, how much a difference does it make in our lives? Whether we accept one or the other, or whether we throw up our hands and say, I have no idea. If we're logical people, then we can see that each is an interesting position, a very interesting position. And this is the way Sri Ramakrishna presents all of these things. So many times he'll be asked questions about what happens in the afterlife, things like that. and they'll say, don't get lost in all of these things. Yeah, do some spiritual practice. So the main thing that we have here, see, if we were stuck with this Brahman, this infinite absolute reality, if it's the ground of everything, it's unknown, it's unknowable, it's beyond the senses, then there's nothing we can do about it. But he says that that same Brahman, either the reflection of it or the presence, he'll explain it in both ways. Now, we may say for the philosopher, there are different theories, they're conflicting. But Sri Ramakrishna, he wasn't a philosopher the way the others are philosophers. He wanted to give us different ways of understanding this so that we do our spiritual practice. So we have that conviction that, yes, by turning within, this is how I can unlock the secret, that the divine presence dwells within as my very own self, okay, or as that divine presence, which we call the Antaryaman, the inner controller, or as this witness, all different ways of understanding it from different points of view. And we don't have to argue one against the other unless we take some people take a lot of joy in this different philosophical positions. Which one is not even which one is more logical, which one is true. For Sri Ramakrishna, that's not the meaning of truth. Truth is realization. That's not the meaning of truth. He says you can look at it from all different points of view and come up with all different conclusions and everything. But the real point is that whatever this divine presence is, whatever this key, whatever this source of joy and peace and everything, whatever that is, that reality is, it's our possession. And it's hidden within because we're not seeking it and we don't know how to go after it and everything. These other analogies are all helpful. Say with the reflected sun, we have a second analogy that the water can be choppy and we don't get a clear picture of the sun. It can be muddy and murky. So everything is hazy. Like that we have to cleanse the mind and everything. Yeah, good. Still, that doesn't mean that we think the mind is made of water. Or even wax. We have this chitta idea with some samskaras, it can be carved, this and that and everything, or that it takes the form of the object. These are just different wonderful ideas, very subtle and possibly very helpful. But for Sri Ramakrishna, he keeps telling us, don't confuse this with truth. These are doctrines. The truth, what is Brahman? Brahman is what Brahman is. It's the experience that we have to have. The descriptions will vary. There'll be all different opinions about these things. But we take help, the help of these analogies because we don't know what else to do. They're more helpful than just straight philosophy. That they give us an image and a picture. And it's very, very helpful for us to think of the mind, the disturbed mind, as broken into waves, like choppy water. It's helpful. We don't take it literally. Some will, of course. This idea with vrittis and chitta and everything, the yoga school, they'll take this literally. Chitta will actually go out, take the form of the object. Yeah, we don't have to take these literally. We can take these as helpful ways of understanding something. That otherwise we're left to just this very, very incompetent mind, immature mind that lacks the ability to really pierce these. Not just that mind lacks the ability, but there's a mystery behind all of this. This is why this doctrine of Maya is so important. That ultimately it's inscrutable. These things, yeah.
Who is emphasizing on the prayer?
Yes. Now, why prayer? Now, this goes back to the similar thing that I'm talking about, that we have different ways of viewing things. Now, if we look at that, the divine presence within as our very own self, then we're jnanis. not that much scope for prayer. If we look at it as the presence of Ishvara dwelling within the heart, as the Antaryamin, and what is the main feature of the Antaryamin? That it's hearing everything, witnessing everything, knowing everything, all of the attributes that we give to Ishvara, omniscient, all of those, and one with that same Saguna Brahman that we think of as the source of this whole universe. Now, when it comes to this real question of the personal God, that is there a personal God separate from ourselves, who hears our prayers and answers our prayers, or is it somehow that God dwelling within, of course, will hear our prayer because he's the witness and hears everything, but can answer the prayer? See, these are all, again, you'll get different answers from all different people. For Sri Ramakrishna, he accepted two almost radically different ideas. That the indwelling presence, our real self, there's God dwelling within. That this divine mother idea is nothing but this Brahman together with Shakti, and at the same time, this divine mother is the most personal God, who talks to him, who guides him, who answers prayers, and all of that. Yeah, this is again something that goes beyond any rational explanation, and this is the direct experience of not only Sri Ramakrishna, others from that school, the worshippers of the Divine Mother, and even through other traditions, that prayers can be answered. Now, we have to remember, for Sri Ramakrishna, we're not praying for anything that we can verify that I prayed for a TV, I got a TV. It's not like that. We're praying for pure love and devotion. Now, we can quibble. If we pray for pure love and devotion with tremendous sincerity and longing of heart, we'll get it. Now, is it the power of prayer, or is it there's someone who granted us that? The Divine Mother was pleased and said, yes, my child, I'll give you a boon. Sri Ramakrishna talks in those terms, but at the same time, we understand this power of prayer to transform, to really purify us, and to give us some glimpse of some higher type of reality. Now, can we leave it an open question? Yeah. Can we leave it an open question? For me, I don't have any choice. I don't have the experience of a Sri Ramakrishna, that Mother is revealing herself to me. She's talking to me, telling me all of that. At the same time, I can't dismiss it. Swamiji was also so clear about that. There's a power in this universe that thinks of herself as a woman. And all of the scriptures that we pleased, when the Mother's pleased, she'll grant our prayers, all of this. So I can't dismiss it. At the same time, I have no direct experience of it. I have some faith that this power of prayer is enough to transform, to completely take this all of the bad samskaras and all the negative things and everything, and really can eliminate these things. The power of prayer is something tremendous, and all of our spiritual practices. So, yeah, there are many things we have to leave as open questions until we have some higher experience. And even then, Thakur, if anybody had all the answers, he had all the answers. How many times he said, who can understand the ways of God? All of these things, there's some mysterious things. Yeah. So, but my point is here that there's a very helpful doctrine, this idea of reflection, and that if we're trying to see the sun, it's almost as if the neck is created in such a way that it can't look upward to see the sun. almost like that we have no choice but seeing the reflection of the sun. And through that reflected sun, we know the nature of the real sun. Yeah. So as I was saying, if we want to see our face, we can't do it. We can't do it. We can only see the reflection of the face. But through that, we know the nature of the real face. Now, what Sri Ramakrishna is saying, that we can go even beyond that. That reflected sun, we can find the real sun through that reflected sun somehow. So again, do we want to quibble and say, well, it's not just a reflected sun, the real sun is dwelling within the heart. Okay, I have no problem with that. We don't want to mix up our analogies, that's all, and get confused that way. But yeah, so for this, Sri Ramakrishna, he can't be pinned down. He can't be pinned down that, yes, he accepts Dvaita Vedanta, he accepts Vishishta. He sees all of them as paths. He says so many times, Mot pot. He sees them as a path. He's equally happy with the bell fruit and the onion. Yeah, the onion. You peeled everything away, and it's infinite absolute reality, no difference, no individual jiva, nothing like that. And you open the bell fruit, all the jivas are right there within. People will say he's not consistent. People will say, no, he really is this or that, or no. They're both beautiful ideas and images and helpful. And as long as we don't get stuck and say, yeah, this is the final truth, that there are many jivas. We say, how many? You want to give a finite number? You want to say infinite number? There can't be an infinite number. Yeah, you're going to use them up. You need more of them. We can come up with all different, questions about all these different doctrines, because none of them are foolproof, but they're all helpful. Some more helpful than others, some more helpful for different individuals than others. So anyhow, this is one that Sri Ramakrishna uses maybe more often than anything else. Yeah. And I love that one conversation where he says that once all of the containers are broken, you can't even say, does the sun exist or not exist? In that state of merging in Brahman or Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then it's beyond 1 and 2. We can't say anything at that point. But this idea of the Divine Mother for Sri Ramakrishna is not simply the indwelling. This is also this Shakti, this divine Shakti. As I say, I can't give any logical explanation for it. But for Sri Ramakrishna, for Swamiji, for many of these great souls, this was more real than anything else. And we see it in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. So anyhow, it goes on. The Divine Mother gives her devotees Brahmajnana too. Now, this is one way of saying, see, we can reinterpret everything if we want to. We can explain it. Well, is the Divine Mother giving it, or one attains it? Okay, so let's not quibble. Let's say that one may be qualified for or be about to merge into that, but one prefers to keep some sense of separation. So Sri Ramakrishna would talk in those terms also. He would say, yes, that I'd like to keep a little sense of separation to enjoy this relationship, with Mother, something like that. So, yeah, we have to really translate everything in a way that will be helpful and make sense for us. Now, we don't want to be too free. We don't want to say, well, he really means this. No, we have to listen very carefully what he's saying to us and everything. Yeah, but this see, we have that Ram Prasad song that I don't want to become sugar. I like the taste of sugar. He's not saying that the Divine Mother could make me become one with sugar, but she's allowing me to taste. He's putting in from the other side. So the subjective, objective. Yeah, this is another tension thing. How much is coming from above? How much is from our own mind? These are also difficult questions. But he's putting in these terms here. The Divine Mother gives her devotee Brahmajnana too. But a true lover of God generally does not seek the knowledge of Brahman.
Yeah.
Actually, these for the dualists, this merging in Brahman, this is something that they absolutely, yeah, this is the worst possible type of mukti for them. They want to enjoy the presence of God. They want to go to a heaven and live in the presence of God as they picture God, with name and form and personality and all of that. And this idea of losing one's individuality and merging, which is the ultimate goal for the jnani, is considered the lowest form of mukti for the dualistic devotee, we can say. Yeah. Now, for Sri Ramakrishna, everything ends in oneness. But this may be an ultimate oneness. The devotee may, during this lifetime, prefer to keep that sense of separation, but when the ultimate liberation comes, then the drop of water goes back to the ocean. This is the Upanishadic idea. So, yeah, we don't. There are a lot of mysteries with all of this. So this is all, according to Sri Ramakrishna, the path of devotion. Even though we can see how much of it is this jnana yoga, how much of it is with oneness and everything, because he says there is another path, the path of knowledge, which is very difficult. Yeah. Now, this jnana yoga, again, all of these things need a little clarification. That, see, we have Swamiji's book, Jnana Yoga. Now, are we supposed to say that I'm not qualified to read that book? This jnana yoga is too difficult. We have to have tremendous renunciation and everything. No. Thakur is not saying that. Swamiji, of course, would never say that. It means exclusively following this path of just constantly analyzing the mind, constantly going deep within, trying to eliminate every pull from the world, every attachment that we have, in order to realize the real nature of the self. That's a very difficult path. And for people who have worldly obligations and worldly relationships and everything, and to say I am that ultimate reality, when our sense of I is so tied in with the body and the mind and everything, and then it's there's a certain hypocrisy to it. Maybe not knowingly hypocrisy, but it's also won't be effective. And we can get into a lot of confusion that way. And then don't get me started on this world being real or unreal. Another difficult topic. All we know is the world as it appears in the mind, as we experience it, and what is really out there. If there's anything out there, if there's nothing out there. Let the philosophers argue about these things.
You said something else. He himself will give you full knowledge of Brahman.
Yes.
But that which is
Okay.
Brahman
Yeah.
with attributes is verily Brahman.
Chaya Didi. Yeah. They can't hear any of that. I have the people here. Yeah. There's another path, the path of knowledge, which is very difficult.
Right.
You members of the Brahmo Samaj are not jnanis. Now, this is also an interesting thing. How they thought of themselves, I don't know. They called themselves, this modern day Brahmagyanis. Thakur used that term. But they had a conception of God that was a personal God, no form. And they utilized prayer. Prayer was very important for them. So from that point of view, they're bhaktas, not from the point of view that their main practices or certainly no worship with the ordinary type of puja. They had their own upasana and everything, but it wasn't a typical type of bhakti yoga that we think of. Of course, they did a little bit of the singing and dancing, mostly because of Thakur. Yeah, but otherwise, it was a kind of a dry type of bhakti yoga, you would say. But they also, I'm sure, they thought of themselves as jnanis, that our position is much more logical than anybody else's. How can you think of God with form? God is universal, infinite, absolute. How can all of those ideas? How can God be born as the avatar? God has no parts. God is infinite. How can the infinite come in human form? They had all their logical arguments. So I'm sure they thought of themselves as jnanis. But Thakur is trying to emphasize this point. And know that you understand calling on God, you understand prayer and everything. So generally he would say this. You members of the Brahmo Samaj are not jnanis, you are bhaktas. The jnani believes that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory as a dream. So they, of course, would accept, see, Brahman alone is real. And generally, if again, this is splitting hairs, but this term real, satya, generally means in the Vedantic context that which is unchanging. That which was the same in past, present, and future, that which is unchanging. And anything less than that can be called unreal. It doesn't mean non-existent, or it doesn't mean imaginary. So, but there are some who will take this again. This is an type of analogy that this world is like a dream. Now, we can understand this. If we take it literally, then it's a projection not of my mind, but of the one who is dreaming me. I'm the product. I'm part of the dream. I'm not the one causing it. But it has ramifications. What is the reality of the people in the dream and everything? So generally, we don't take that too literally. But if we understand that this dreamlike quality of the world, and that it'll break when we come to the end of our life, that long dream will break and we'll have another dream. Something else will come. And then we can understand the dreamlike nature of the world. But for someone like Swamiji, see, Swamiji, one of his poems, he says, how does he put it? In Brahman alone dreaming in Brahman is Maya dreaming all this dream, something like that. That this world, though it seems real, it's and yet he took this world, all the problems of the world, the suffering of people and everything, 100% real. 100% real, but real in quotes, not the real the way we say Brahman is real, because it's a show, it's a passing show. But we may all be actors in this show, but we suffer because of it. So he wanted to eliminate all of that. God is our inner controller. Pray to him. So now again, there's a God in heaven. We don't know anything about that, but dwelling within, that divine presence within, that from the bottom looking up is God dwelling within. From the top looking down is my own self. Just a question of our point of view. Pray to him with a pure and guileless heart. He will explain everything to you. Now, Thakur, again, he'll say the mind becomes the guru. All the questions, Swamiji, all questions will be answered from within. Is it Divine Mother, or is it just this mind itself has reached that point where the mysteries are becoming a little unraveled for it? So God is our inner controller, Antaryamin. Pray to him with a pure and guileless heart. Not even a him or a her. There's a concept of the Antaryamin. If we take it as the witness, it's impersonal. And at the same time, if we take it as for the bhakta, it'll really be the personal God dwelling within that we pray to. Same phenomenon. Give up egotism and take refuge in him. You will realize everything. So anyhow, these are the important aspects of all of this. That give up egotism, take refuge in him. Now, again, the devotee will understand that in one way, that everything that happens is the will of Mother or divine will. Otherwise, we can say that let me practice forbearance. Whatever comes, I'll accept it. Whether will of God or not will of God, whether my own karma or not, that we have no choice but to deal with these things. Let me accept it that way and practice this. If we don't want to say surrender, or we don't want to say taking refuge, we can say at least acceptance, that we won't fight against everything. We know that this is the nature of the world. and why things happen, we suffer and everything. So many different theories. I was reading just yesterday or last night. This Thakur says the same thing that Holy Mother said. I had forgotten about it. He said, as long as you have a physical body, there'll be suffering in the body. He doesn't go into any deep theories about karma, will of God, that this is for you the best, anything. He said you have deho dharan kare, yeah, dukho kashto habe. The same thing that Holy Mother says, exactly, almost word for word, exactly what Holy Mother says. So all different ways of looking at that. We know that life is tough. We know that there's suffering and sorrow in it. We know we have to deal with it, and there are ways of doing it. They can bring great peace and comfort to us and raise us up to a level where we can have some real understanding and experience of this ultimate truth somehow. But all of this should inspire us to do some real spiritual practice. Yeah, that this looking for everything in the world is a dead end. That it's everything we have we'll give up one day. That our relationship, our health, all things, memory, mind, all sorts of things. We know anytime can be taken from us. The Master sang, "Dwell, O mind, within yourself. Enter no other's home. If you but seek there, you will find all you were searching for. God, the true philosopher's stone, who answers every prayer, lies hidden deep within your heart, the richest gem of all. How many pearls and precious stones are scattered all about the outer court that lies before the chamber of your heart." Yeah, so this is the most important thing. That the other teaching that we get over and over again from Sri Ramakrishna is a dive deep, a dubda, dive deep. That means forget, at least while we're calling on God, at least while we're doing our meditation, forget the world. Cut off the senses. Just try to feel what is the nature of that reality within that is awareness, consciousness. I am, that I exist. I exist in a way that's beyond all, even mind, beyond body, senses, and everything, that I exist, that this is the one thing that is my real possession, or is the real ultimate truth. It can't be taken away. He continued, when you mix with people outside your Samaj, love them all. Now the Brahmos, they were curious people because they did so much social service work, and they were so interested in social reform, and at the same time they could be very snobbish and look down upon other people as, well, this is rank superstition, and someone has to teach them, they're bowing before idols and everything. So they had both sides to them. So Thakur wanted them to get rid of this idea that they knew all the answers. Yeah, and to be able to mix with other people because they were a little exclusive. I don't know how much, but it seems like they had really a separate society. Of course, many did. The Vaishnava society was also a very separate society. They just stayed with their own people, didn't mix very much. In this country, we have the same thing. The people who belong to one church, all their friends will belong there. They won't mix with others. So he's telling them, when you mix with people outside your Samaj, love them all. When in their company, be one of them. This is what Thakur could do. He did it because it was natural, and he felt one with everybody. Don't harbor malice toward them. Don't turn up your nose in hatred and say, oh, this man believes in God with form and not in the formless God. This man believes in the formless God and not in God with form. This man is a Christian. This man is a Hindu. And this man is a Muslim. It is God alone who makes people see things in different ways. So, again, if we want to understand it this way, otherwise we can just say that this is very natural, that human beings are born with this tendency to like people who think like them, and not like people who don't think like them, to herding tendency. We can explain it in so many different ways, but it's a very natural thing for us to feel comfortable with people who think like us, who look like us, who talk like us, all of these things. But Thakur says, it is God alone, we can say the divine plan, if we'd like. It is God alone who makes people see things in different ways. Know that people have different natures. Yeah, so this is the point. Why they have a different nature, the different samskaras, different experiences. Yeah, we can quibble about that, but we know that people are very different. People are very different. So know that people of different natures, realize this and mix with them as much as you can and love all, but enter your own inner chamber to enjoy peace and bliss. So this is that idea of nishtha, that we accept the right of everybody to worship God in whatever way they want, but I know what suits me, and I don't want to. I can appreciate that. I can mix with people, but when I sit down and feel that devotion that I have within my heart, it'll be fixed. It'll be set. It'll be focused on whatever ideal I've accepted, and it's a question of what appeals to the heart, and also what I'm qualified for. That should be part of it. What I'm qualified for. Now Thakur sings a song, lighting the lamp of knowledge in the chamber of your heart. Behold the face of the mother, Brahman's embodiment. You can see your true self only within your own chamber. Yeah, we can say we want to see God dwelling within all beings. Huh? This is inference. Yeah, we don't have the direct access to the consciousness that somebody else has. I believe it 100%, 150%. I believe that you're all conscious individuals, that you have your own life, that you have your own worldview of everything. 100% convinced of that, but it's inference. It's inference. I don't have direct access to it. Indirect access through your actions, through your behavior, for your speech, all of these different things. But with me, it's direct. With me, it's direct. This is that paroksha jnana and aparoksha jnana that we've been reading about. You can see your true self only within your own chamber. The chamber, that means we say the heart, but we're really talking about the mind. Only this heart, the difference between mind and heart, my understanding, is that the heart we have to go beyond thought and get into that realm of feeling. The heart can feel. There's all one thing, mind and heart. There's only this antakarana, but that functioning of the heart as a feeling, as enabling us to grasp something without words, is higher. If we can learn how to do that. So this is that emphasis. Then he says, the cowherds take the cows to graze in the pasture. There the cattle mix. They all form one herd, but on returning to their sheds in the evening, they are separated. Then each stays by itself in its own stall. Therefore, I say, dwell by yourself in your own chamber. Yeah, we all get together. We have satsang. We feel the oneness with everybody. Then we sit for meditation and just dive within. Forget about anything else. Then it's just itself within. It was 10 o'clock in the evening. The master got into a carriage to return to Dakshineshwar. One or two attending devotees got in with him. The carriage stood under a tree in deep darkness. Benipal wanted to send some sweets and other food with Sri Ramakrishna for Ramlal, the master's nephew. Benipal, sir, Ramlal was not here this evening. With your permission, I shall like to send some sweets for him by your attendants. It sounds harmless, but Thakur, he had some very strict rules that he didn't like to take anything that wasn't to be used in the future, even for Ramlal. It seems extreme, but this was one of his convictions. Master, with great anxiety, "Oh, Bernipal, oh, sir, please don't send these things with me. They will do me harm. It is never possible for me to lay up anything, to keep things for the future. I hope you won't mind." Bernipal, "As you please, sir. Please give me your blessing." Now, Thakur, he didn't like that. Somehow he would never say, "Yes, I bless you." He had that type of humility. He felt God is the one who gives blessing. So he doesn't, sometimes he'll say, "I'm nobody," this and that. Here he skirts it a little bit. Master, "Oh, we have been very happy today." He's not saying anything about the blessing. "You see, he alone is a true man who has made money his servant." Now, why is he saying this? He's praising this Benipal because at great expense he's put this utsav, this celebration together, the Brahmo Samaj celebration, probably paying for everything himself, and we don't know how many people invited, but it's a big affair. Yeah. "You see, he alone is a true man who has made money his servant. But those who do not know the use of money are not men, even though they have human forms." Manush hoy, manush noy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they may look like that, but if they don't have a little charity and compassion in their hearts, he says they're not. See, we think that Thakur didn't care about this doya, compassion, but he says if there's something higher than that, but if you lack compassion, in nirdoy, if you lack compassion, then you're worse than an animal, beast, than not to be considered a human being. So. You see, he alone is a true man who has made money a servant, but those who do not know the use of money are not men, even though they have human forms. They may have human bodies, but they behave like animals. You are blessed indeed. You have made so many devotees happy today. Okay. Now, all of this is taking place right after Kali Puja. So I mentioned last time, I think this is somehow Diwali celebration, without calling it Diwali, because they didn't care for too much for Hindu types of things. But I think because the Marwaris are also going to have a big celebration this same time. Anyhow, now this is the next day, Monday, October 20th, 1884. We'll just start this section. 2 days after the worship of Kali. So probably there's a little vacation time. They'll get some days off or something from work for the Kali Puja period. I know Durga Puja they will, probably this also. Anyhow, 2 days after the worship of Kali, the Marwaris of the Border Bazar section of Calcutta were celebrating the Annakuta festival. Sri Ramakrishna had been invited by the Marwari devotees to the ceremony at 12 Malik Street. It was the second day of the bright fortnight of the moon. The festival connected with the worship of Kali. So somehow their Kali Puja, they're all different traditions. Maybe for the Marwaris, it goes another 2 days or something. Here, notice the festival of light. So Diwali connected with Kali Puja somehow. Was still going on at Border Bazar. I think this connection of Kali Puja and Diwali is just in Bengal. Probably.
Bengal, Diwali is more like
Diwali all throughout India. That's universal. Yeah. In Bengal, it kind of takes a back seat a little bit, the Kali Puja, or the next morning or something. But it's combined a little bit. Yeah. So because the Marwaris, probably they've been living in Calcutta for a long time. Now, the Annakut, literally a hill of food. Yeah, they'll have so many things to offer that sometimes they'll even be piled up on top of each other. It'll look like a hill. So Annakut. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, M and the younger Gopal came to Border Bazar. M had in his hand a bundle of cloths he had purchased for Sri Ramakrishna. Malik Street was jammed with people. So this will be, not just a Marwari thing. That whole area is a big kind of festival. Jammed with people, bullock carts and carriages. As M and Gopal approached 12 Malik Street, they noticed Sri Ramakrishna in a carriage. So the Marwaris had invited Sri Ramakrishna and other of his devotees there, which could hardly move because of the jam. Babu Ram and Ram Chakravarti. This Ram Chakravarti was one of the Dakshineshwar temple workers or priests. Were with the master. He smiled at M and Gopal. Sri Ramakrishna alighted from the carriage. With Babu Ram, he proceeded on foot to the house of his host. It was easier to walk. M leading the way. They saw the courtyard of the house filled with big bales of clothes, which were being loaded into bullock carts for shipment. Yeah, the Marwaris were in the textile business, mostly, yeah. The Marwari host greeted the master and led him to the third floor of the house. A painting of Kali hung on the wall. Sri Ramakrishna bowed before it. He sat down and became engaged in conversation with the devotees. One of the Marwaris began to stroke his feet. Now, Thakur was sensitive. If somebody who did not lead a very pure type of life, if he was taken by surprise, he might jump. If he's expecting it, he might say, no, it's not necessary. So the master asked him to stop. After reflecting a minute, he said, all right, you can stroke them a little. His words were full of compassion. Master to M, what about your school? M, today is a holiday, sir. So so this was some extension of Kali Puja and Diwali. Master smiling. Tomorrow there will be a musical recital of the Chandi at Adha's house. The host sent a pandit to Sri Ramakrishna. Yeah, very often on these occasions they would have some special kirtan party that would be there, and sometimes they would invite a pandit just to get him started. They have some conversation and everyone could listen. The host sent a pandit to Sri Ramakrishna. He saluted the master and took a seat. Soon they were engaged in conversation. They talked about spiritual things. Master, God incarnates himself for the bhakta and not for the jnani. Yeah. Because the jnani, say if we take the jnani to this Swamiji's attitude. When Swamiji was before, when he first met Sri Ramakrishna, that he followed this idea of the Brahmos, that, what is this? How does God come down and take a human form and the infinite absolute reality? So they don't really accept that idea. Now they'll accept this idea God dwells within all beings. That's fine for them. God dwells within all beings. Some have greater power than others. That's fine. But this literal idea that God sees that there's a need for him to take human birth, and so he decides to come down avatirna, that coming down from heaven and taking human birth for some special purpose, that they generally don't accept. That's number one. Number two, the jnanis we associate with the Upanishads. There's no concept of the doctrine of the avatar comes later. It's not in the Upanishad. So the bhakta wants this idea because this is a concrete way of worshiping God and placing one's devotion. How do we offer our devotion to an abstract idea? If we see the divine qualities manifest in an individual, however we understand it. Say in the Buddhist tradition, generally they worship the Buddha. They won't say worship, they say venerate. They venerate. But it's the same thing, that the human mind wants to have some lovable object of devotion, something with sterling qualities and characteristics and compassion and everything to offer their devotion. Jnani doesn't need it because Jnani is more interested what is the real nature of the self. Pandit, I incarnate, so he's quoting now, I incarnate myself in every age. This is from Gita, chapter 4. I incarnate myself in every age for the protection of the good, for the destruction of the wicked, and for the establishment of dharma. God becomes man, first, for the joy of the bhakta, and secondly, for the destruction of the wicked. The jnani has no desire. That's the way he's explaining it. Master, smiling. But I have not got rid of all desires. I have the desire for love of God. The Pandit's son entered the room. He saluted the master and took a seat. Master to the Pandit. Well, what is bhava and what is bhakti? So these are two ideas. Pandit. Meditation on God mellows the mind. It'll have to be God with some type of form. This mellowness is called bhava. It is like the thawing of ice when the sun rises. Yeah, it's a nice idea. There's bhava that somehow there's sweetness oozing, this honey kind of thing. Yeah, because there's some feeling of love connected, not just depth of thought and everything, but some emotion behind this idea of bhava. Master. Well, what is prema? The Pandit and Sri Ramakrishna were talking in Hindustani. The former gave some sort of explanation of prema. So Thakur knew enough. He could speak in some broken Hindi, and he would explain things to the others in Bengali, because he probably knew more than the others, at least. Master to the Pandit. No, that is not the meaning. Prema means such love for God that it makes a man forget the world and also his body, which is so dear to him. Chaitanya Deva had prema. Pandit. Yes, sir. One behaves like a drunkard. Yeah, this, of course, we see with Sri Ramakrishna. He would reel. Mind would be intoxicated with this divine love. Master. Some people develop bhakti and others do not. How do you explain that, sir? He's half testing the Pandit and also just bringing up the conversation. Not that he doesn't know the answers to these things. He's curious to see what the Pandit will say. Pandit, there is no partiality in God. Yeah, we can't say God is unfair. He gives some people devotion and others not. He is the wish-fulfilling tree. Whatever man asks of God, he gets, but he must go near the tree to ask the boon. Yeah, this is one of the ideas, that you have to find this tree and you have to sit underneath it and then make the wish. So that means that we may say, yes, I pray to God, but please fulfill this desire, that desire, and everything. But we are not in the presence. We haven't established God within our hearts. We don't feel that we're really sitting under that tree. The mind is not immersed with that thought. That love isn't there. So naturally, the results won't be there. So it's a good answer. The Pandit said all this in Hindustani. The master explained it to M in Bengali. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Hindi was not, I guess, not so well known at that time because so much emphasis on English. Yeah. Anyhow, there'll be a new subject here that we'll be talking about samadhi after this. So we'll stop here. We're at the top of page 639. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukam Bhatatu Vigrahamai Ishavataram Parameshamediam Tam Ramakrishnam Sirasa Namama. We bow our heads before Sri Ramakrishna, who is stainless, of infinite nature, whose heart melts in sympathy for his devotees, who is an embodiment of the divine and the Supreme Lord, and ever worthy of our worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto you. So now it's actually already, Thakur's puja is already starting in India, huh? Yeah. We'll have our celebration on Sunday, but actually Titi is the first, and it's already the first there. So as we speak, this worship of Sri Ramakrishna at Bellarmad and all of our centers in India will be going on. So, okay, thank you, everyone. Those of you who can come, we'll have our puja Sunday 11, and it'll be live streamed also for those who want to watch on the computer.